The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Better than ever. However, despite the moving forward into the Triple H era, which you just mentioned, the shadow of Vince McMahon, the post-show press conference at Bash of Berlin, Rhodes, that would be Cody Rhodes, answered questions about his future opponents performing in Europe and his current title reign.
Right.
Soon the tone shifted when the reporter asked about the upcoming Netflix docuseries about Vince McMahon and his professional wrestling career, including his sexual misconduct and sexual trafficking allegations from former WWE employee Janelle Grant. More specifically, the reporter wanted to know why the locker room has been so silent about the allegations. I'm going to read you his response, and I'm going to ask you to give me your ideas. In the terms of, I am going to watch it, not to sound cheeky by any means, I'm deep into Game of Thrones rewatch. That is a hell of a commitment, Rhodes said. I think there's a bit of misinformation in terms of WWE has no involvement into the documentary. As far as I know, I would imagine I would get around to seeing it.
Okay.
Let me see if I've got anything else. That's it. So what do you got? Did I miss anything here?
Well, it continues in terms of the more serious the meat of your question, as Rhodes continued to address the reporters. The locker room being quiet or silent, I don't think that that's a matter of belief versus non-belief. I think, strictly speaking, we want to be doing what we're doing out there. The focus and attention that it takes to have a great story and have a great match and do that every single night has left most of us to where we're finding the information out there just as you are. I think that Cody is not preoccupied.
Well, before you go to that, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
At this point in these scrums, is there room for professional wrestling to be asking those type of questions? At the scrums. I'm saying we're in an interview. You're interviewing someone. That's a little bit different, in my opinion. You're at a pro wrestling event and a scrum. Is that the place for it?
No different. It's no different than other professional sports. They ask them all sorts of kinds of shit that pisses them off. That's the risk you run when you're having a post-whatever press conference. That happens all the time, whether it's in football. How many times have you seen a coach walk out on an interview because the line of questioning is something he doesn't want to talk about? So there is to it. You know, it's inevitable that a reporter's going to ask Cody about Vince McMahon with the documentary coming out. It's inevitable. Cody's answer was perfect. He gave a professional answer. Is that how he really feels? Most of it probably true. How he really feels, he's not going to say. What makes you think he's going to say exactly how he really truly feels? Especially if it's negative towards Vince. He's not going to do it. All right? He's currently working for the damn company, and even though Vince is not there, Triple H is. There's a business understanding here. He handled that question perfectly. And I actually do buy into he's working every night. He's not, or preparing to work. He's not thinking about shit like that. He can't. And I wouldn't either. To be very honest, I wouldn't either. I have a job to do. I'm in the spot of my life at the top of the card. I'm the world fucking champion. I am not going to fucking risk my shit.
To be honest with you, I think it's like
real opinion on Vince.
It's like any other job, man. When people leave, like you're bummed out for a minute or you're bummed out for a while, and then life goes on. Vince McMahon is no different than anybody else. It's like out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
You know, very rarely do you see an employee have a meltdown because maybe a manager left or something. I can't survive without them. You know what I mean?
Mike,
very
I'm telling you
rarely.
right now, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Vince McMahon, I'm fucking buying AEW. I am. Because I got railroaded, okay? Like you said, until things come out that he really did something definitively and he's guilty in a court of law, they forced him to go sit at home with his 9 cats. You know how Vince lived his life for decades. If I'm Vince McMahon, I'd buy AEW right now and ram it up their poop chute because he'll find a way to do it. Then we will have a true Monday Night War. This imaginary Monday Night War that supposedly occurred over the last 5 years is nothing like a real Monday Night War. And if Vince McMahon bought AEW, now we could talk war. You understand what I'm getting at? Because if I'm Vince McMahon, that's what I'm doing. If
Well,
I feel I've been wronged and I'm forced to the sidelines, and now everyone in my family hates me except for my son, which is so strange and ironic that it would wind up being them two. But you know what? I always felt that it should have been Shane. You and I have talked about this 1,000 times, and I'm still on record. As much as I like Triple H and like what he's doing, and I know he knows the game and he knows wrestling and everything, Shane McMahon should have been the fucking heir apparent. I mean, I hate to get old school here, but I always felt that Shane McMahon, it was his company just the way it should have been. Vince, was when Vince Jr. went through Vince Sr., Shane was next in line. I would have felt so slighted. No wonder Shane went away for years. Be real, people. This is a family. These are human beings. Shane had to be crushed.
The one thing I always remember,
Stephanie
Jimmy,
was great though. So
the one thing I always remember, Jimmy, is when I was at Hulk Hogan with friends. They had it was way back. They had Valentine, Hogan, Bischoff, and I think one of the questions were asked, like, if you could do it over after with WCW, who would have you guys gotten to win the war?
Yeah,
and every one of them said Vince McMahon. I mean, that's listen, I think Fox said if Vince McMahon, by the way, Don Scoffich, I hope I'm saying it right. He's saying Vince will not buy AEW. I would say more than likely he's right.
I agree. More than likely not. But if I was Vince and if I'm feeling isolated and wrongfully prosecuted and I'm bored out of my mind with my 9 cats, I could see Vince doing something like that.
I will say this though, Jimmy. If he did buy it, all of a sudden AEW becomes a major player, and it's not like a major player for a couple of weeks, like those Tony Khan surprise. It's talking long term. It's on. It's now on. I'm going to do what I've always done, and I'm going to defeat TKO and the WWE.
Right. Well, and on top of it, if he has Shane on board and Shane buys into and finally does become what, his father, the bullet points that made his father who he was. Oh, Jesus God. This could go on for years because Shane, I would like to think, has a good 30 years left in his life at least. So who knows? Who knows?
We both agree that Cody Rhodes did a fantastic job diverting the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
It led to the question, and this is basically the theme of the show tonight.
All right,
is he truly the leader of the locker room? So I said, you know what? There's only one other guy you could compare him to, right? And that would be obviously our tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
All right.
I'm going to read a few things, and at the end, we're going to say, let's decide who really is the real role model for these wrestlers. Because let's get straight, dude. Through every generation, there's always been a leader of the locker room.
Right.
The Clique ran the WWE for a very long time. Whether people know, were they leaders? No, but they ran it. Undertaker was always the leader. Hogan was always the leader. Most recently, we had Enzo on. We all know that Roman was the leader. Enzo denies it, but supposedly Roman actually kicked them off the bus, right? He claims it was another wrestler. I'm not so sure. Wait a minute, dude. Okay, we're going to stop this for 1 second because here is something, and I want you to really weigh in on this one because this is... Oh, I got the wrong thing. Sorry. Stone Cold Steve RJ says Stone Cold Steve Austin was a leader. I'm not so sure, RJ, to be honest with you. Monty Nefaro, AEW needs a guy like Dutch Mantel booking for him. I'm leaving this one up to you, Jimmy.
Well, I'm not so sure that Dutch Mantel is the best option. Dutch Mantel has old school sensibility, so it wouldn't be like. I think he might be able to. Honestly, I think he might be able to tweak AEW for the better. Some of the ridiculous stuff, but has he ever proven long term that he could be the answer?
All right, come on, wait a minute. All right, I'm
actually trying to answer it seriously. I mean,
I know you are, and I'm going to be serious here. Let's be legitimate. Yeah. Dutch Mantel, has found his niche. Okay, he's YouTube. A good podcaster.
Right.
He was not a good wrestler. I don't give a shit. People are like, oh yeah, he was good. He drew money. He didn't draw shit. He wasn't a good booker. Right. He wasn't.
Right.
I mean, look, okay, the guy, listen, until he was on WSI, No one
Right.
even remembered who
Listen,
Dutch Mantel was.
all it does is hammer home the fact that I'm actually considering Dutch Mantel because I am not a fan of their writing or their character development or their ability to make a new star. I'm not. I don't believe in them. I think that they're terrible half the time. You know, the very things that they scream about WWE is so hypocritical to me because half the program is lacking big time, you know? It's not like when WWE does a premium live event and from match 1 through 5 or whatever, because nowadays it seems to be 5 matches, they're all good. And they're all good established wrestlers. We're not sending out some whoever
No,
to
no.
flip around and do cartwheels for 15 minutes in the
You hit it
opening
on the
match.
head. Dutch Mantel is too old school. He doesn't get. He's out of touch.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Would
It's
it be
not
my
his thing.
move? It wouldn't be my move. I don't know who I would be looking for to improve that product, but Dutch Mantel would not make my top 10. How about that? You know, but considering it's AEW, his old school thing might fit in more often than not because they like to do old school stuff. So it might work somewhat, but I don't know. I don't see him making any new stars. What did he ever prove
Well,
he could anyway?
listen, AEW
Never
isn't
proven
working,
that.
dude. It's not working. It's
Right.
not working. If anyone thinks it's working, it's not. If Tony Khan wasn't a billionaire, this would have been a done deal already. It would have been
I
over.
agree. No,
Okay.
I agree.
Again, anything short of Vince McMahon buying that company, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And
Right.
you know, and it could be a dream, but if he did, game on. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely game on, and I've already said it 1,000 times. AEW is a wealthier version of TNA because the guy's got more money, but it doesn't feel any different to me than TNA at the top of their game on Spike TV. You know, it doesn't feel like anything different to me. I don't,
Well, let me ask
you
you this
know,
question: If Vince McMahon did buy AEW, let's just play
right?
this game. You know how people have loyalty. Do you think again? There's contracts involved, but do you think? I don't know how Roman Reigns felt about Vince. I kind of get the feeling Roman was not a Vince guy,
I have
even
no
though
idea.
Vince was a Roman guy. Like Vince loved Roman. I
I,
kind of felt like he wasn't a Vince guy. I don't know why.
I
Like
don't see how Roman Reigns would not be a Vince guy.
I
I don't
don't
see that.
either, but it's like I've heard comments from him
I don't
like
see that.
certain things. I don't
Right.
know. I'm not sure.
Vince would have to do a lot of things right to truly topple WWE. Do you think he's still capable of that?
No, you can't. No, you can't
I'm
topple
gonna
it.
go with no. But do
But
I think that he'll be able to at least get them up to WCW level, like where it was somewhat
here's
competitive?
my.
Yeah, I think he could pull that off.
He could take market share from them,
Right.
and he could take some of their bigger talent. Like I wouldn't be surprised if well, I guess it's a little. You know what, dude? Maybe it's just too late. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if like a John Cena would go over there.
No, never. I don't think John would, no matter what. It wouldn't make any sense for John. However, maybe some of the up and comers that Vince believed in would come. See, what Vince would have to do would be very hard because Vince would have to do what he did when his back was up against the wall during the Attitude Era, when he was about to create it. He would actually have to take guys that are there and make them something. Can he still do that? I think some of him can, but I don't know if he would be able to do it with the strokes of genius and the roster that he had to do it back in the Attitude Era. It would be so much work, and I don't think he's got enough left in his gas tank, man. He would need to, if him and Shane are on the same page, like we think they may be, he would need to spill every last bit of knowledge into a son who is now more than ever open to becoming like his dad, because obviously at some point years ago, Vince looked at Stephanie and said, she's the one. So if the son receives the father's information and the father is willing to bleed into him every last secret and every last trick and finally mold his son, then it's possible that Shane long-term could do something. But it's going to take time.
By the way, Eric Healy
Crazy.
saying that Vince has already bought AEW, won't be revealed till later this year.
Wouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
By the way, Phil says he met Dutch Mantel and he was a nice guy.
That's great, Phil. What do we do with that?
I don't know. Maybe Phil was combing his back.
I'm just fucking around. Oh, Dutch is a nice guy. Looks like
Dutch, can I comb your back, please? Yeah, sure. Come here, kid.
Wait a minute. You have Phil combing Dutch Mantel's back?
Yeah, at the wrestling event.
Phil would not do that. Would you, Phil?
While Gerard is licking Phil's toes.
Oh, this is just wrong. Can I play with your pinky toe? It's cute. This
I
is
learned from
awful.
the best.
How did we wind up here? What the hello? McFly?
All right.
What?
Leadership. Roman Reigns has established himself as a top figure in the WWE, particularly through his work with the Bloodline story. His leadership style is more aligned with a traditional top of the card dominance where the status of the tribal chief isn't just a character, but it's also an indication of his influence backstage. Um, Dude, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Just trying to find my cursor here. Known for carrying himself with authority and professionalism, Roman has become the face of the WWE. As such, it has a direct setting the tone and culture of the locker room. Now, see if you agree with this. His experience, Roman has spent the majority of his career in the WWE, rising through the ranks and learning from veterans like John Cena, The Undertaker, and Triple H. This has allowed him not only to take charge, but to do so with the understanding that he takes the lead in the locker room over the long term. Jimmy.
Suffering, succotash. Uh
You like this little write-up, don't you?
yeah, yeah. I'm sure he is a leader in the locker room. To what degree I can't say I know. He's definitely a company guy. He fits the Cena template, right? I mean, he's basically born and bred. He's Aaron Judge. He's come up through the system, and he's at the top of the system. So I think he would definitely command respect. Yeah, that's an A+ on the experience. As if you're coming to the company and you need to see who the role model is, I would think at this point it's Roman Reigns. I would think so. So I got to agree that when he walks in the room definitely changes to whatever his temperature is saying. I would think.
I'm going to agree with you. He has that look about him that he
Yeah,
does dictate,
yeah,
and a little like Cody to me. It's funny. Their characters are almost what they seem like that what they would be in the locker room. Cody's like everybody's friend, where Roman is like all business.
mm-hmm.
And once in a while when he breaks like into a joke, people are shocked. Whoa, look at that. He's got a sense of humor.
Right,
But like,
right.
whoa, it's Roman type of
You
thing. You know
know,
what I mean?
it depends. I don't know how deep we're going to get into this thing here, but it really depends to me what you're going to them for. Because leaders, you usually go if you're an up and comer, or even if you've been around a long time and want to learn something. It depends on what you're going to ask them. Now, between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, like if I had a company question, something that's directly involved to the company and how they've done things over the years and stuff, I'd go to Roman. If I want to know about more what's out there and how did you get back here and how is it out there compared to in here and that sort of thing, I would probably want to talk to Cody. Cody's been a lot more road weathered. I think that if you're looking to drain information, if it's from a company exclusive, Roman's the guy you would want to ask questions to. But if it's wrestling exclusive, where meaning wherever you go around the world and different promoters and what's the deal here and what's the deal there and how should I wrestle in this town? Do they prefer this sort of style or blah blah blah? Cody's the guy you're going to want to talk to. So
It's funny.
if you
People
understand
don't
what I'm getting
really.
at,
Yeah, I do. It's a great commentary, but people. Okay, so everybody knows when the Miz came in, he was picked on, and at one
yeah,
point, a wrestler kicked him out and made him dress it out in the hallway,
yeah,
in the
yeah,
bathroom, in the
yeah. He went
closet.
through all the hazing,
And
right?
everybody who tries to act like they don't know that particular wrestler was our friend Chris Benoit. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
6 months into it, the Undertaker gets the Miz and says, "Get your shit. You're coming back in the locker room." I don't see Cody doing that. I could
No,
see Roman doing that though.
I could see Roman doing it, but you know what though? The company has changed so much that you really can't have too many guys like that anyway.
That's going back to the beginning of the show. The culture has changed.
Right.
Is there room for a Roman Reigns leadership anymore?
Yes, there is, because there's no room for Renzo Amore. How's that sound?
It's great comment, Jimmy, yet again. Legacy, a part of the legendary Anawahe family,
Mm-hmm.
Roman carries a strong sense of tradition and respect for the business. Comes through his leadership. He's known for holding others accountable and being the stabilizing force for younger talent looking for guidance.
Good. You know what's weird? You know, it's funny when you said before you can't put your finger on it, but you sometimes think that Roman wasn't a Vince guy. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't believe that Roman is the guy that goes out of his way to show somebody else the tricks to this trade. I believe that there are other guys, and this is another difference too between when John Cena was in the locker room and the Undertaker was in the locker room compared to today. There are several Thurman Munsons you can go to, captains, Derek Jeters, whatever you want to call them, and they wear different faces and they've acted and behaved differently from each other over the years. For example, not just Roman and Cody are people that you can go to in that locker room. Randy Orton is absolutely captain material. You can definitely go to a Randy Orton if you want to learn something about this business. And even you will admit now, because he is definitely a changed man. If I'm a younger guy, I would love to talk to CM Punk. So there are certain guys in that locker room that are definitely still leaders. Roman is the leader.
Can I
I
can
would
I
still
can
think at
I
the end
ask
of
you
the day,
this?
go
I
ahead.
almost feel like Roman is very unapproachable. I
Ro-
don't know why. I feel like Roman.
Ro-
So okay,
Listen,
I just got to use a couple of examples.
I already know
When
what you're
Roman
getting at.
does,
Yeah,
but when Roman does his documentary
yeah.
interviews,
Hmm.
he's never out of character,
No,
right? Um, I think Roman now at this point in his life, and I feel like this is I agree with you. I almost feel like you can't go to him for help. He'll
right,
keep you straight if you're doing
right,
something wrong, but
right,
don't go for don't go for him
right.
for advice because he's not there for you. Again,
Well,
we're
it's the
not on
old
the inside, Bully Ray. We're just speculating, buddy.
right, and that's what we're doing, and that's fine. What I can't give Roman a higher compliment than this, and you'll know what I mean when I compare him to this person. Thurman Munson was the captain of the Yankees for a decade and part of the championships, an integral part of it. Thurman Munson was never really approached in general by the undercardsmen. Okay, they would go like Brian Doyle would talk to Willie Randolph, or Roy White would, so you would hang out with Paul Blair. They weren't going to Munson because Munson was a lot like Reigns, unapproachable in a lot of ways. He wasn't like running around the field and going, "Hey, do this," or "Hey, you need help today," or whatever. Munson was a surly guy. He was always in character. When you interviewed him after a game, it's just like you said, Mike, he still had that damn game face on. He was so standoffish. So unless you were Munson's best friend, in other words, Lou Pinella or perhaps Greg Nettles, you didn't just walk up to Thurman Munson.
Well, but I think
Uh,
there's something about
You
that. You have
know?
to keep an awe of about
Right,
your
right.
character. Even as a baseball player, yes, you're a character, right? You're Thurman Munson. It's like you want to keep people at a safe distance that they don't feel like you're
Right.
just the regular guy.
Right, right. I mean, Munson was a very matter of fact guy. When Reggie made that quote, "I'm the straw that stirs the drink," they tried to tell Munson, the other teammates, to cool down the heat. Well, maybe he was misspoken or misprinted. And Thurman turned and said, for 5,000 words, the article was 5,000 words. He was just like, what do you mean?
Right.
Munson was very, very unapproachable. He could be very unapproachable, but when the game came, he had everybody's back 10,000%. You
Right.
know, he was, and he played that way, and they all loved him for it, and they all drew from his energy as a leader. And that's what Roman is. He's silent but deadly. He's one of them.
All right, so Cody Rhodes, the people's leader, Cody Rhodes, on the other hand, has a leadership style that is rooted from his passion for the business, creativity, and personal journey through various promotions, including the WWE, AEW, and then back again. Cody
Right,
has been credited with not only elevating talent, but helping build AEW's foundation.
right.
He's an innovator and a builder. Cody was instrumental in the creation of AEW, a role that required him to lead in different ways than Roman Reigns. He
Oh, yeah.
wasn't just a top talent, but he was a key figure in managing and organizing the company from the ground up. His leadership was collaborative, often bringing wrestlers together and helping them find their own creative direction.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Jimmy?
Listen, if this is, and this may bother you, but to me, this is absolute facts and truth. When it comes to the wrestling brain of Cody Rhodes and the wrestling brain of Roman Reigns, this is no contest. Cody Rhodes is the son of a genius. Cody Rhodes became a genius himself in many ways. He understands how to create something from scratch because without Cody Rhodes, there is no AEW, period. This headache never would have existed. One of the big reasons why I didn't want Vince to let Cody Rhodes go. I was like, don't let him go. Don't let him go. He is going to figure something out because he's like his dad. His dad was also very, very, very smart with creativity. Knew how to book cards, knew how to run towns, knew how to do things. All right. And Cody knows how to do those things too. That gets back to, like I said, if there's something I want to learn in this business overall, not strictly company, then I'm running to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes knows a lot about a lot. He's a great leader. He has carried himself like a Bob Backlund. I've said it 1,000 times. He's a perfect face. Am I bored to death with his program? Yeah, I am, because I don't feel like he's getting legitimate contenders. I already can tell he's going to beat everybody.
Listen, Cody's approachable. He's everybody's friend.
Yes.
And again, when you're everybody's friend, you're Tony Khan. So again, we're trying to compare the two as a leader.
Right, but Tony Khan doesn't have brains. Cody does. That's why he's currently WWE Undisputed Champion.
Fair enough.
Rhodes, he has brains. He knows what he's doing.
Mentorship. Cody's known for mentoring young talent and being more hands-on when it comes to helping others develop. His accessibility to other wrestlers and his willingness to share his knowledge, particularly when it comes to navigating life, both inside and outside of WWE, he's made him a beloved figure of the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. That all sounds right to me. I have no problem with any of that. I'm sure that he is beloved in that locker room. He doesn't go out of his way to make enemies. And he does his job.
Inclusivity and connection. Cody's leadership style has been seen as more approachable and inclusive. He's more awkwardly emotional and connects with wrestling audiences and his peers through personal stories and experiences, positioning himself as a leader who understands the struggles and wrestlers in a walk of life. I want to just bring that up.
Yeah.
So we know the struggles that Dusty Rhodes went through towards the end of his career before the WWE picked him up to help, train and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And Cody tells a story how, they were broke and blah, 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 blah.
They were.
You got to know that Roman was probably in that same situation, right? Most of these wrestlers at some point were, and especially with such large families. But you never really, I think I've heard Roman once say like he grew up in a small house with a big family and there wasn't plenty of room to sleep and blah, blah, blah. But Roman almost keeps that off the side. He doesn't, where Cody holds as a badge of honor, Roman holds it as a weakness.
Cody had to embrace it because let's be honest here. As famous as Roman's father is, he is not Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes was Cody's father. Dusty Rhodes is one of the top 5 all-time biggest draws in the NWA history, period. Dusty Rhodes was the shit, okay? There's no escaping the legacy of Dusty Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has been brilliant in finding ways to keep the legacy but work around it. I'm not the American dream. I'm the American nightmare. He is very, very smart. Dusty would be so proud of him. Oh, my God, how he has found a way to be discharged from the WWE. Terrible booking. Knows he's worth more, knows he can do more, and remade himself to this level. Fucking genius. An absolute genius, okay? One way or the other. You don't have to be a fan of his. And I'm not particularly a fan of Cody Rhodes. I'm not. I was thrilled when he came home for WWE reasons. That's the Yankees to me. I was thrilled that he came back. I was thrilled when Punk tore off the Met uniform in AEW and came back and put on the pinstripes. That's how I look at my wrestling.
Hey, by the way, Pharaoh, Chris Williams, a guy watching the show, from what I understand, B40 says that his mom was in here promoting her OnlyFans with her floppy breasts.
What? You interrupt the program to tell me somebody's on our chat putting OnlyFans sites and her breasts are floppy?
No, the guy's mother, not him.
That's worse than the... Oh, my God. Maybe she's the one that's been writing you every morning. I don't know what's going on here. This is horrible. Live TV, man. What am I supposed to do with that?
You got to go with it. You got to go with it.
And
no,
this
Chris Williams guy is writing a bunch of dudes talking about dudes wrestling each other.
Yeah, it's a wrestling podcast. If you're confused, you could always flip over to Kamala.
And then he goes,
I don't understand.
I bet there's no chicks in here either. First of all, who uses the word chicks anyway?
Wow. Wait,
It's like,
wait.
wow,
Yeah,
chicks.
wait, what?
Hey, chicks. He must have been watching Happy Days before. Whoa, hey. Got any chicks there, bro?
Yeah. She's meant.
Actually, Chris Williams' mother's by right. That's why I'm under. Like, you're up, I'm below because she's here. Anyway,
Oh, my God.
conclusion.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about this conclusion, Jimmy.
Okay.
Roman Reigns excels as a locker room leader, though his consistency and discipline and legacy carries within the WWE. His leadership and authoritative, demanding respect, and ensuring that the locker room operates at the highest level of professionalism. Where Cody, on the other hand, embodies a more personal and creative form of leadership. His experience across multiple companies and hands-on mentorship style has made him an inspirational leader to many, particularly those who are trying to carve unique careers. In my final conclusion, I ask you to give me the ultimate decision. Ultimately, Roman Reigns can be seen as a stronger leader in terms of maintaining structure in the WWE locker room, while Cody Rhodes brings more innovative, emotional leadership style, especially in a building and supporting talent. Both are highly respected, but it depends on the type of leadership in the locker room needed. Who would you want to lead your locker room?
Okay, here's the deal. I don't want to play what ifs. I want to play what is. All right, and what is that you have two great leaders. Okay, they have different styles. Thurman Munson and Derek Jeter could not be more different as people and as captains. What works, works. Roman works, Cody works. So to me, who do I think is top dog if they're both in the locker room at the same time? Roman Reigns. I think that Roman still has the leadership and the seniority and carries himself great. When Cody's the guy in the locker room, if Roman ain't there, which is often, Cody's probably at the top of the chain with Punk. That's what I think. You know, leadership appears in different forms and fashions. We've seen it with our championship teams. Billy Martin was a nut job. Joe Torre was not a nut job. Both were great. It really depends on your approach and what is needed at the given moment. Roman Reigns probably handles things a little harsher than Cody Rhodes. So what? Depends on the situation. I bet you Cody might have tossed Enzo off the bus too. I wouldn't have been surprised if he did.
It's fair. Listen, your evaluation is fair, dude. I'm not saying one is, one is worse than the other. I see Roman Reigns more as a dictatorial leader and a more Vince McMahon caliber leader. But again, in today's snowflake society, maybe that doesn't fly, right?
Right. Well, you saw what happened in AEW when the owner is a mark and the wrestlers are allowed to run everything. You got brawls. They're all beating each other up for real. So, at the end of the day, what is the more structurally sound thing is probably the Roman approach because he's corporate. He's the company guy. He's the next Undertaker in that locker room if there is such a thing. Probably not, but Roman's the head of the food chain. He's the senior guy with the resume to back it. And when he walks in that locker room, I'm sure respect is given. But I don't think he walks in that locker room the way Scott Hall used to walk in the locker room. Who can I fuck with next?